Hey friends, and thanks for joining me again. And today I want to talk to you about where my favorite place to buy plants are, because plant buying season is well underway, and as we're trying to get, our little homestead here kind of more, planted up with some cool things that we want to grow, obviously we have to buy our stuff somewhere. So I just want to talk to you about the reasons why I like and don't like certain places, that we have bought plants before, and what my favorites are. So I'm going to start with the bottom of the list and then work my way up. So number 4 is actually online. I feel like online is a good place to get some things because they do have a wide variety of things available. The problem I have found with online is that it seems to me that most of the time the prices are a little bit higher, unless they are running some kind of a cool sale or something like that. It feels like this is one of the more expensive options, and obviously I'm frugal, so that weighs heavily in my decision making. But also sometimes I feel like some of the stuff that they sell is lesser quality. So if it's lesser quality and it's at a higher price, this just doesn't seem right to me. So that's why, this is something I will use. I do buy stuff online, but I do it with caution, and I usually avoid trees. I tend to go more with like bushes or shrubs and vines and things like that, or small plants, that sort of stuff, and usually only when I can't find a variety anywhere else. So that's why that's when I typically choose online. It's not a bad option by any means, and so if that's something you have to do in order to find some varieties that you're looking for, definitely keep it in mind. None of these options are bad options. I just feel like for some reasons, some of these options are better than others. That's all. So the third one would be, the next one would be specialty nurseries. Specialty nurseries, again, have a wide variety of stuff. They have, staff that's usually knowledgeable, and they can help you find, what you're looking for, or even make recommendations and stuff like that. Or if you're only looking to plant something, one of something, they may be able to tell you, well, that may not be a good idea because you'll need 2 for cross-pollination and stuff like that. So they can give you helpful tips and hints and things like that. So yeah, that's definitely a good thing, in my opinion, for sure. But I do feel like the specialty nurseries are still high on the price scale. So I typically only buy stuff from these when I can't find, again, a variety somewhere else. However, I still think it's a good option. So when I have something in mind that I really want to grow, and I can't find it anywhere else, specialty nurseries are definitely a place to look for sure. And I do feel like they have decent quality products, so yeah, there's definitely a good choice as well. Number 2 would be big box stores. Big box stores, my number one favorite thing about buying stuff here. Well, let me define big box for you. So big box is going to be the big chain stores. So this is just as a quick example. It's not limited to, but just a quick example would be like your Walmart, your Home Depot, your Lowe's, stuff like that. So these types of stores, usually have stuff for a lot less expensive than some of the other options, which is great. I kind of feel weird lumping Walmart in with Home Depot, though, because I feel like Home Depots are kind of high, but Walmart's are really low. So in general, a lot of the big box stores can have stuff for fairly cheap. I do feel like they are of decent quality. In fact, a lot of my trees that I planted at the last house where I lived, a lot of those trees came from Walmart. So a dozen years ago, they were only like 20 bucks a tree. And so it was a nice budget-friendly way for me to be able to get, what I was hoping to achieve, at a price that I needed to be able to fit that in. So even this year, I have, a couple of trees that I've got from big box stores. And so I have a tree there right over there. It's a peach tree that I got for $10 at Walmart. I mean, $10. And it's a decent quality tree. I will say that there is some downs to this one. I do think that they don't have that much of a variety to choose from. So if you're just looking for any kind of something, then you could probably find it there. But if you're looking for something specific, it's usually harder to find because, again, they only have their specific varieties that they have. The staff is not knowledgeable usually. I mean, they're usually just there to water the plants, but they don't really know much about the trees themselves or the bushes or whatever else it is that you're growing. And usually on the tags, there isn't a whole lot of information, so I usually have to do a lot of legwork as far as research to make sure, does this work for my zone? And, is this going to work for our conditions that we get here and things like that. So I do think it's worth it because they are so cheap to do the extra work. But that's just something I think some people will have to weigh. And then, of course, this weighs into my decision making because this affects me, but I do realize that this isn't going to affect most people. But my husband works for Walmart and has for about the last 10 years or so, and so we get a discount on everything that we buy at Walmart. So when I look around and I see, say berry bushes or something at all these different stores, Walmart, Home Depot, and Lowe's and all these others, if Walmart has the cheapest ones and we get a 10% discount on top of it, making it even cheaper still, I mean, that's obviously like a frugal person's dream, right? So again, I realize this isn't going to weigh in for everyone else, but that is certainly one of the reasons why I choose to shop at, a big box store like Walmart, is because we do get that discount. And for all the people who, feel like Walmart's a bad employer and stuff like that, we've been really happy with it, and he is happy with his job there, and I think that they take pretty good care of us. So for that reason, I think Walmart is actually a pretty good place to shop. And yeah, I really am a big fan of actually their products and things like that. You got to be careful, of course, but for the most part. And they, have been pretty hassle-free when it comes to returns and things like that. So that definitely helps too. So there you go. There's my number 2 favorite place, which is big box stores. And then my absolute favorite place, my number 1 favorite place to buy plants, is actually like farm stores. This is going to be stuff like Tractor Supply or Baumgars or Jack's or things like that, more specialty farm stores that sell a lot of, tack and just different stuff like that. I really do feel like out of all of the different places, this is my personal favorite place to get them because they have some of the best quality plants out of all of the different options. I feel like their staff is usually pretty knowledgeable, and they usually carry only varieties that are actually suited to our area. So unlike the big box store, like I was just talking about, like Walmart is a chain store, they may get a whole bunch of trees that are not suited to our zone. They'll get trees in that are like, say, zone 6 and we're zone 5. So you have to be really careful about that sort of thing. Whereas a specialty farm store knows that they're only going to carry, I know that they're only going to carry things that actually work for our area. So we can pretty much go there and just pick out different varieties knowing that they're already going to work for our weather conditions and things like that. So that is pretty helpful too. I do feel like the only reason that this one and number 2 kind of float back and forth is that they are a little bit more expensive than, say, Walmart or some of the other big box stores. But because I do think they carry really high quality products, it is worth the extra money. Let me give you an example really quick. So I just mentioned that we did buy a whole bunch of, fruit trees from Walmart, or a few fruit trees, I should say. I think I only planted like 3 of them, over 10 years ago at the Walmart. So a few years ago, I actually decided I wanted to plant a second fruit tree. So the first fruit tree I planted was from Walmart, and it was about $20, and it took about 5 years before that tree actually started producing fruit. Then I went to Baumgars, a farm store that we have around here, and then I bought another peach tree because I wanted to add a second because we weren't really getting enough peaches, and that fruit tree fruited the second year. It was $35 to purchase. So even though its price was higher, I feel like it was a better quality tree. It was bigger from the start. Like the Walmart tree was, maybe like 4 feet tall, whereas the one I got from the farm store was more like 5.5 feet tall when I first bought it, maybe even a little taller. I'm not sure. And then it fruited so quickly that it made it worth the extra money for that tree. So that is why they are my favorite place to buy stuff. They have stuff that's suited to our zone. It's, high quality items, and, I feel like it sometimes can be worth the little bit of extra money that they cost. But I want to hear from you, because this is obviously just my very limited amount of experience having bought things, throughout all of my experience having, gotten things here and there as we've been planting. I want to know what your favorite place to get stuff is, and how you feel about the different quality on the different options and things like that. And, just what you've had luck with and what you really haven't had luck with. And I know that that'll be helpful to some of the other people who go through and read the comments too. So I'm Frugal Green Girl. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.